I'm on a Kirblog quest. I want the whole world to hear.
I believe.
'Cause it allows me to exist as long as you will listen to what I say. Hello, Ben.
Hi.
Hi. How was that?
That was amazing.
Yes, I completely just came up with that off the cuff and didn't write it down ahead of time.
Yeah,
I've never done that.
We're not looking at a giant untitled notepad file in front of us with all those lyrics.
Hi, welcome to Pokemon. We're a month long of Pokemon-themed Kirblog. I have a filthy, disgusting traitor in my midst right now. Hi, Ben.
Hi,
Yes.
I like Digimon.
Yes, that's what we're going to talk about today, based on a question I got from Cloud Lightning. So, Kirb, I'm fully aware that you did a Digimon Kirblog already with Ben a year ago. That was over a year ago.
Oh my god. Hey, I just want to take time to realize this guy's name is Cloud Lightning.
Yes.
I think he likes Final Fantasy.
Possibly.
I just want to
Yes,
say.
I didn't even make that connection, but very good.
Thank you.
However, with Digimon Adventures Try now out, and a section of the community saying that it's better than Pokemon in the past couple years, while other sections beg to differ, I think it would be an interesting Kirblog topic to do like a Pokemon versus Digimon Kirblog comparing the two with pros and cons from each series. Even doing a early days Pokemon versus early days Digimon discussion, and then comparing that to the present day Pokemon and present day Digimon somewhere in the Kirblog. Again, I'm fully aware it's supposed to be about Pokecember, but I'm a fan of both series, and I'm curious to hear your take on discussing both with their similarities and differences. I say this idea because of Digimon Adventure Try just recently coming out, and stuff like Pokemon Go out on the horizon. Just an idea. Well, here we are. Hi, Ben.
Yay, hi.
So, for those of you who don't know, Ben is the voice of Shoutmon.
Yeah.
And Cutemon.
Yeah.
And all other forms, I think, of both of them, if they have any
Yes.
others. Okay. Does
Yeah.
Cutemon have
Cubemon technically
transformations?
does have an evolution, but it's like a joke evolution.
Oh, okay.
It becomes greatest Cutemon.
Greatest Cutemon?
Greatest Cutemon!
That's terrifying.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna touch you later while you're doing that voice. Not really. Don't send help. And I had the privilege of voicing two named characters in Pokemon. I did some additional voices in an episode of X and Y.
Were you Tracy? I liked Tracy.
That would have been cool because he has a Scyther. And
No, that's right. That's why you
yes.
liked him.
Well, I didn't like him. I liked
Like the
Scyther. Yes.
That made him acceptable.
Yes,
where
that
everybody
made
else
me
hated him.
tolerate him until Brock came back. But I voiced a kid named Rotor in an episode of Black and White towards the end, and I also voiced Corey in the Diamond and Pearl arc, the 5-episode arc promoting Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which I'm going to do a curve vlog about my experiences with that later. But we both worked on Pokemon and Digimon.
Yes.
We both grew up basically with both, more or less. And Ben is a person that I consider to be objective enough to where I can talk with him about this, unlike certain other people that I will not name, Edward Bosco, who will just be like, this one is better and the other one sucks, so there. And it's interesting because, Cloud Lightning brought up Digimon Try. Not too long ago, we also had Pokemon Origins, which was a 4-part... actually, it's funny because I believe it's the length of the first installment of Digimon Try, where it's, I think 4 episodes came out, right? And they're doing like 3 sets of 4, I think.
That's right. It's like a movie divided up into 4 different
Gotcha. So Pokemon Origins was 4 episodes.
Yeah, is Pokemon Origins, for my information, is that the one where they're like doing it like from the story of Red as opposed to...
Yeah, well, it's
Ash?
Red in terms of like it's meant to be more akin to like the exact pathway of the video game, as opposed to like a lot of the kind of tangents that they would go off in the show, or rather not so much tangents, but more so like expanding upon what was happening between now we're at this city and we fight this gym leader, etc.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and it's funny. I guess just to kind of start off with the no, you know what? We'll save that for later, just 'cause we'll go in chronological order.
Okay.
So I'll start off. I talked a little bit about like my early days of being into Pokemon. So I guess I guess, well, you know what? It's hard to say. We both already kind of talked about our experiences with Digimon. You know what? I'll say this. Go check out, I'll have an annotation on the screen somewhere. If you have not heard our Digimon memories discussion from over a whole year ago now, we did that. Go check that. I'll have a link to it. I have already talked about my experiences with the early days of Pokemon on the first of these that I did. So all the quota left to fill is your early experiences with Pokemon. So go for it.
For me, let me see. Pokemon for me was actually the comics before the show launched. I think it was in Nintendo Power. They had like a series of Pokemon comics, and like it was so before the show that I didn't even know how to pronounce the character's name. So for a long time, I thought Pikachu's name was Pikachu. Because that's how I read it. I was
That's how the Melee announcer Pikachu says
really?
it that way. Yeah. If I'm remembering right, actually, you might have a similar origin to me because if it was in Nintendo Power, those were the Animanga
Yes,
comics where they
those are the
took
ones.
screenshots. Okay, so
Yes.
same thing. That's how I got into it as well.
And I
Okay.
remember like reading that, and I really liked it, and I wound up really liking the first season quite a bit of Pokemon. It was just it was cool, you know. To me it was like that idea of this is essentially cockfighting for kids, but they make it like fun without being like too like, oh, when you really get down to it, that's kind of creepy. But it like
Was that your first anime that you ever saw?
no. First anime I think was Sailor Moon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was a
gotcha.
long time ago. But no, but but I liked it. And I think I stuck around for the first couple of seasons. I think.
Well, we were just talking off camera. I was
Yeah.
singing the Johto theme, and you recognized it, but you were like, wait, did I watch this episodes, or did I just know it because you sing it all the time or something?
I saw them, but see, like Johto was where I started falling off of
Okay.
Pokemon. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
one of those things. I was like,
It's a
I'm not
shame,
feeling
too,
it.
because I was saying I did a recent one.
Yeah, you liked those.
Yeah, those
the
are amongst
writing.
my favorites because the dialogue was really funny, but like a lot of people were kind of just like, I don't care anymore, or whatever.
Yeah. For me, like what wound up making me go like towards Pokemon. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that, and this might have changed. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I have not seen the show in a long time. But the plot was always kind of the same. He goes to a place, he sees a Pokemon, Team Rocket are dicks, and then they get blown away, and then
Yeah.
the next episode they repeat. And I was just kind of like, this is cute, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't feel it anymore.
So with Digimon, you know, we talked a lot about how kind of we were following. As just to refresh a little bit, in my case. So what I had seen, kind of as an equivalent, was I watched a fair majority of Adventure 1 and 2, those first two seasons. I've seen a tiny little bit of Tamers, and I haven't really seen any of the other ones after that.
Okay.
Of which we talked about. There's you know kind of mixed things on a lot of the later ones, unfortunately. But I followed Pokemon like pretty extensively. Like I watched like almost everything except for like a little bit of I think like early Diamond and Pearl, a little bit of later advanced stuff. So I knew it pretty extensively, and it definitely has changed and evolved a lot from that first season. Just as I know Digimon has also probably changed and evolved a lot from its first incarnation.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because what Data Squad was the one where it was like kind of Power Rangers-y.
I know that was a Frontier.
Frontier.
That was
that's
the
right.
fourth season.
Okay.
Data Squad was kind of getting back to the original feeling, but all the kids were kind of older, so it was a little different. But yeah.
But Fusion, would you say, as having worked on it for so long, and I'm assuming you've watched a little bit of it, is it more like the first season, would you say? Like kind of an equivalence?
Yes and no. The first season was really them trying to figure out what they wanted to do with the series. I mean, like the same complaints that I had about Pokemon easily applied to Digimon Adventure because
Right.
like the first 6 episodes, it's literally there's a bad guy, one of the monsters evolves and saves us, hooray! Next episode, same thing, and then they all get separated. Then like the next the 6 episodes are them trying to find each other, and then they do, and then the final kid's Digimon evolves, and then that's the end of the first season. And It's
Yeah.
very like super cut and dry.
Right.
But yeah, Fusion is a little bit different in that it already has like a plot line going right from the start, and it's probably the most violent of all the Digimon seasons so far because it's a war essentially. It's a
Right.
bunch
Oh,
of Digimon
well,
getting
cross
murdered.
wars.
Cross
So,
wars.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you can't.
It's a religious argument because that's why they're burying their crosses. I did it.
You made it
I did
topical.
it. I'm so good.
Wow.
Well, I was going to get a point with this. Well, because it's funny because on Pokemon, I remember when Black and White started. When it first started, I was kind of intrigued because I'm like, I wonder if they're kind of trying to go more like the first season a little bit because it was, I mean, usually what happens is every time a new generation starts is Ash goes back to Pallet Town. He drops off all of the new Pokemon he's collected at Professor Oak's lab. He'll take Pikachu with him on, okay, I'm going to go to this new region from whatever the newest game is now and start anew as like, this is a new journey. I'm going to have a fresh start. And typically at the end of those seasons, when he does like the Pokemon League matches, he'll call back like, Charizard and Bayleaf and a lot of the older Pokemon that he used to have. And it'll be kind of like, it's all the ones that I remember, like, Kingler, a lot of those,
Oh yeah, totally. Kingler, yeah, my friend.
Yeah,
I
Kingler.
have no idea who Kingler is.
It's the crab. It's the big crab.
I don't know.
You're a crab. You got crabs.
That's undeniable.
That's a whole different issue.
Yes.
But anyway, the funny thing about when Black and White started was like, for instance, in that show, the two traveling partners with Ash were two gym leaders. One of which was the first one, which was Silent, and then the second one was the in the video game, depending on which version you played, the final gym leader, which was Iris.
But that's not really that. I mean, wasn't Brock a gym leader?
That's what I'm saying, though.
Oh, 'cause it's trying to get back to that.
because after they started not using those characters, the characters that they would have in the traveling party were the trainers from whatever that game was. So like we had May from Ruby and Sapphire was the girl of the advanced season. Dawn from Diamond and Pearl was the girl of the Diamond and Pearl season, et cetera, et cetera.
Sexy.
Thank you. Yeah. And but with Black and White, it was they're using gym leader characters, because you even look back and think at the Pokemon season 1, it's like if you really stay objective and look at it, it's like why are the gym leaders the other characters that are fun? And they just so happen to be the first two. It's like that's a little weird. Like wouldn't it be like other normal trainers that are like going on their own journeys and just like traveling together as friends or something?
That would make more sense.
Yeah. But even in the most recent X and Y series, and funny, the theme song for the first season of X and Y, which is the most recent incarnation, was a remix of the Pokemon season 1 theme. They brought that back. And one of the girl of that season is the trainer from the game, and the new Brock of that season is also a gym leader. So that's kind of like a mix and match. And they also have a fourth girl because they were doing the 4-person kind of setup. In Fusion, we just watched the openings before. How many like main characters are in like the gang of Fusion, would you say?
Technically there's 3, and you're talking about human characters. I'm
Okay,
assuming.
yeah.
3, but technically there's 5.
Because of Cumon and Shoutmon both being there as well?
No, because there's 2 other characters, Jeremy and Angie, who are like kind of dumped off at the end of the first season. And then they magically come back at the very end of the second season. But like, so technically 5, but basically 3.
Okay. Well, funny thing too, in the more recent stuff, this is something that I love. When I was following Black and White, I talked a little bit about this on the recent Kirblog I did, but in the Black and White season, excuse me, something that they did that the first season really never did aside from basically Gary is they have a lot of recurring characters that will be in multiple episodes, so that by the time they would get to the Pokemon League competition at the end I was talking about, where he'll call back a lot of his older Pokemon, all of the contestants were characters that you would know of from the entire length of that generation. So like Black and White was like 3 seasons or like 3 or 4 seasons or so. By the time they got to the League, it was all the characters that Ash and company were fighting against were characters that we knew of like throughout the entire show. In the first season, it was just Gary. And even then, Ash and Gary never even actually fought at the end of season 1. Because Gary got eliminated before Ash could fight him.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, but and aside from Richie, which like they would introduce like 3 episodes prior, it's like, oh, and then now we're best buddies, and then I beat you, and then that's the end. It's like that's it. But that's what I liked about the later ones is like they have a consistent cast of people that like you can really genuinely get attached to and like remember, like, especially for like kids that are following it, because I feel like that's the thing. With a lot of these kind of shows, and you're even just saying like, oh, they get dumped off, and then like you never see them again.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes like with those kind of like by the toys sort of Saturday morning anime shows in general, not just Pokemon and Digimon, sometimes I feel like companies maybe might be like too afraid to like make the plot too ongoing because like, oh, what if somebody new comes in and they don't know what's going on, and they have to remember all of these characters, especially when you have like, you know, how many Digimon are there by this point? Like hundreds, I imagine, right?
But yeah,
like upwards of like maybe like thousands by now.
I don't know about thousands, but like there's definitely hundreds. Yeah.
Well, because Pokemon, there are over 700 creatures, I think. But Digimon with all the different like sub forms and like mega forms or whatever, there's gotta be.
They reuse a lot though.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Well, Pokemon, same thing. They would bring back a lot of ones later. So let's talk about, I guess, the format.
Okay.
So one of the things that I always remember hearing from people with Digimon is like, oh, the reason that Digimon is so much better than the Pokemon anime is because it actually had a story and real character development, etc.
Well, it depends on which season you're talking about.
Especially, okay, we'll talk about most people when they say that, they're Generation 1ers with both Pokemon and Digimon. So let's look at that.
Okay.
Digimon did indeed have a continuing story.
Yes.
And I'll even admit, I'm sure I said this in the blog we did before, but I watched the entire Myotismon arc when it aired one morning on, I think it was Fox or ABC Family. I can't remember what it was at the time, but they just showed the entire Myotismon arc in the city and all that stuff. And I watched it, and I was like, "This is cool," and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, and I watched to the end of Adventure 2, and I stopped at the ending where everybody gets married and everybody has kids and everything's from, because I was like, okay, that's an ending. I'm cool with that. and that's a good ending to the story that I followed on and off throughout, etc. You know, with Pokemon, it was very much episodic. More so than Digimon, where it's like they meet a person, they have this Pokemon, this is what that episode is about, centering on this Pokemon. Team Rocket typically wants to get it and give it to the boss, or they want Pikachu like usual, etc. And then,
oh, by the way, I'm sorry. Has it ever been explained what makes Pikachu so freaking great that Team Rocket wants him?
in the second episode, they get their asses kicked by Pikachu, and they're like, "That is no ordinary Pikachu." And they just become obsessed with it.
Oh, okay.
They become utterly obsessed with getting Pikachu specifically. I think after, I want to say by the time they got to the advanced stuff, when it became more about whatever that newest Pokemon was, there was a gag they had where Meowth would be like, "Imagine the boss, he's back at his office and blah blah blah," and they'd have like a whole like a dream sequence of like Giovanni from Team Rocket, like. And then we get this Pokemon, like, I don't know, like whatever, like Magmar or something. And then Magmar will heat up his water when he wants to take a bath. And then Meowth will do like the Giovanni voice being like, "Thanks to Jesse James and Meowth getting me this lovely Magmar and heating my water. Now I blah, blah, blah can relax and I'm going to reward them for their work." And that was their whole motivation when they were like just really like inept. Because by that point they had introduced like Team Aqua and Team Magma, some of the other like more threatening villain teams than Jesse and James.
Like Cassidy and Butch?
No, they're part of Team Rocket.
Oh.
They were just the more competent team of Team Rocket.
Right.
But they just happen to work for each other. No, but I'm like, it's like Team Aqua and Team Magma and like Galactic and some of those were, I think, the closest things we were joking before about in the song lyrics, where it's about change the world and save the world, defend it all. You know, where it's like, that's not what the show's about.
No.
But those are the closest equivalents where they're like, we're going to get these like godly legendary Pokemon and like actually change the world to our vision, and Ash and the others will like stop them because that's what you do in the video games.
Yeah.
But yeah, Team Rocket would just kind of became like, we're the comedic relief after a while.
Yeah.
Then Black and White happened, and then they actually became threatening again.
Oh, really?
And it was nice, yeah.
Oh, actually, I should probably watch that
Yeah,
season.
yeah. No, Black and White is, I think, so far, it's been my overall favorite season.
Cool.
I've been told X and Y is even better, but I have not made the time to follow it as much because I'm bad.
You're a bad.
So I don't know. Well, I've been talking way too much. Talk a little bit about Digimon's first season, where like they did definitely have a bit of that like Sailor Moon thing, where it's like this is the episode. No, not even that. This is the episode where this Digimon gets to evolve into their new form. Yeah. They did that for all of the main ones in that first season. But that's not why people liked it so much.
No, I think people liked Digimon a lot because it started off that way. And then it was kind of like, oh, this show is actually doing pretty well. What do we do from here? And they just started winging it. And they threw them into this new world. And they were like, okay, we're going to do the same sort of thing. They each get crests. So now the characters have to digivolve to their ultimate form. So that's like, okay, once again, you have the same kind of thing going on. But they started delving into the characters' pasts. They started actually giving the characters, like, well, character. Like Tai suddenly goes from being just, I'm the generic leader because I'm the leader because yay, to like actually being like, too brave and being reckless to the point where he's like, he gets the crest of courage. And so he's like, to get this thing to activate, I got to do something brave. And he starts doing really stupid shit.
And does he like force Greymon to evolve against his will and he becomes Skull Greymon on accident?
That's part of that episode, yeah.
Okay,
is that he's constantly trying way too hard, and then he gets pissed off that things aren't happening.
Right.
And that's where Greymon winds up digivolving to Skull Greymon because of his terrible behavior. And that actually winds up becoming sort of a theme for future Digimon shows. Not all of them, but like there's that thing of like the guy turns bad because they screwed up. That happened to Guilmon in Tamers.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he becomes, I forget, Megadramon, I believe is the character's name. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, or Gigasmon, something like that. But it's, yeah. They actually started trying to like make the characters more than just like the staple, like I'm the sporty girl.
Well, especially because how many main characters were in the first season?
7.
Yeah, like that's and then they had Kari later,
the 8th child.
Yeah, and then season 2 was, I want to say, like 5 or 6, I think, right, with like Davis and all them.
Well, let's say they basically got rid of the main kids because they were older, and they just put them in school and just had them be like mentor positions.
So they showed up later though, right?
They
like
do. They're there the whole time, but they just can't really do anything.
But it was mainly like it was Davis, TK, Kari,
Yoli and Cody.
So those 5.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
it's a bit more manageable.
I feel like in that case it was like, okay, let's trim this down a little bit so we can focus on better storytelling and developing everybody a little more equally.
But you know what's funny is that like they got rid of like the more interesting characters and brought in like characters that a lot of people just did not respond to.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about Cody and his like desire to be a fucking kendo master. Nobody gave a crap about that. Davis was just kind of an idiot. He's like a lovable idiot, but you're just kind of like, okay.
All the energetics.
Ryan Donovan, I think, was him.
So it was that kind of. It was just sort of like, oh yeah, okay. Yolei's just kind of annoying. It was just sort of weak.
Well, she had a crush on Ken, right?
She had a crush on Ken.
They didn't know that he was the evil Digimon Emperor at the time.
Yeah, Ken was actually like the interesting one. Then he becomes a good guy and he becomes kind of boring.
Well, no, that's right. I was gonna say, yeah, he joins the crew, so he's kind of like Digimon's equivalent of like a Vegeta kind of guy.
Yeah, he's kind of a Vegeta.
More or less.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, see, here's the thing too. I guess on that note, so each series of Digimon used a different cast of characters. Even Adventure 2, which was in continuity with Adventure 1,
right.
They still use their own set of characters.
Yes.
A lot of different series do that. Yu-Gi-Oh does that. Beyblade does that. I've probably Beatamon, I imagine, does that. A lot of those kind of shows. Maybe even Beatamon. That other, I think Studiopolis does that show, or they used to. Shows like that, where like when a new generation, or rather, a new line of toys comes out, they tend to have new characters most of the time.
Yeah.
And I understand that because like from the storytelling perspective, it's like, all right, we want to have a beginning, a middle, and an end for each arc, and we set to that. In the case of Pokemon, and everybody makes the joke, oh, Ash is 10 forever, and, he forgets everything. Like, when Black and White started, for instance, they had Ash doing some stuff like, oh, why does he not remember how to do that or whatever, etc. And maybe you could chalk it up to like, well, he's in a new region, and there's new, technology, like a new Pokedex or whatever, and like, Pokemon he's never seen, he doesn't quite...
It's a new audience. It's a new audience of kids. They don't know what the hell
that's
happened.
That's the real answer, is like, there's this might be the first season that a new group of 10-year-old kids or younger, especially younger, are seeing.
Yeah.
And that's how it has to go.
Well, why do you think the Doctor on Doctor Who always gets reinvented and reincarnated every like 10 years? It's the same thing. Are kids going to go back and watch like the 60s?
Well, the kids won't, but hardcore fans
fine.
often want to go back and watch that. But,
fair enough.
Well, no, that's the same thing though. But like, so in the case of Doctor Who, that's a totally good example. That tends to be skewed towards an older audience. So,
well, it's a kids show, really.
Is it technically a kids show?
It technically is a kids show. It's probably become something more than that, but yeah.
Well, it's in depth enough that it has like a predominantly it has an older fan base. Like, everybody I know that's a fan of that is like my age or older.
Yeah.
So, but in the case of that, it's like if it's skewed towards an older audience, like, somewhat, then, inherently they're going to be more capable of following a story from beginning to end.
Yeah.
As opposed to if it's really, really skewed young, most of the time, every episode is just, this happens, it ends, it's over, and then everything resets and it's whatever, you know? And I don't know, and maybe in some ways, Digimon and Pokemon have both kind of gotten flack like that in cases, but I feel like both then and now, like, it's not really like that, because, I don't know, you think about it, Pokemon was one of those like gateway anime shows along with DBZ that got people interested. And one of those big things was, oh my God, the next episode, something else is going to happen with these characters, and it's progressing.
Right.
The story is actually continuing. This is a journey, or of some. I mean, Digimon is not a journey necessarily, but not
depending
always.
on which one. Yeah, some of them are, but like no. I feel like for Pokemon in particular, it's like this long ongoing process, and then it ends and it starts over again, essentially. So it sort of like recycles itself. It goes into the Lazarus pit. Anyway,
It's a very obscure reference.
No, that's a Ra's al Ghul from Batman. Whatever. Fuck it. Anyway, we're going with that. Shut up. But it goes through that like period of like regeneration. With Digimon, they basically just kind of go, okay, fuck it, we're gonna just tell a brand new story with brand new characters because this is not now. We're not going to worry about it, which is one of the reasons why Try is really kind of interesting, because now that that's come out, they're basically saying like, hey,
remember these characters?
Yeah, they're all back, and it's that kind of thing, which hasn't really been done ever by Digimon.
And it's funny because, well, I mean, there were like, I think the crossover like video games where they had like characters from everybody from each generation. Well, it counts in terms of like, hey, here's all of these characters that you may or may not recognize, but with a game, it's a little bit of a different case.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think I said this joke on one of the previous ones, but Tom Wayland, the voice director that I worked with on Pokemon at the time, made the joke of, if they changed Ash and Pikachu to different characters, that'd be like taking the McDonald's like golden arches and like flipping them sideways or something. Like Ash and Pikachu, and I get like some people don't like Ash. I understand. I think that Ash and Pikachu are both totally iconic in their own ways. Pikachu more so because he's a cute like little mascot type of character, which is its own reason unto itself. But you could go to like anywhere in the world and like show a picture of Ash and Pikachu and be like, oh, everybody will be like, oh, it's Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like immediately.
Oh yeah, no way.
And like Digimon definitely had a lot of staying power, but I would argue like if you showed somebody Agumon, it might not necessarily have, or even now Shoutmon.
No, yeah, nobody would know who Shoutmon is.
I know who Shoutmon is.
Thank you.
Yeah, no.
I especially know who Cutemon is.
Intimately. Gross. Yeah, no, that's very, well, see, I mean, the closest that Digimon has to a Pikachu is probably Agumon.
Yeah.
And like, again, that's really only if you've seen the first season. I mean,
and to be well, not fair. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw Agumon in elementary school, I'm just like, that's fucking Charmander.
Yeah.
That is Charmander without the tail flame. I'm sorry, guys.
he doesn't look like Charmander. He looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. But
Yes, but like
it's a fire lizard. I get it.
Yeah, and it's but that's the thing too. That's especially when I was a kid, it was easy to like rip on that. Yeah. It's like because as far as I am aware, the order of things was Bandai made Tamagotchi, Nintendo made Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then Bandai was like, hey, let's make Digimon off of Tamagotchi. Like, Tamagotchi evolved and got a battle form, and that was Digimon.
Kind of. See, it's funny because here in the States, Digimon came slightly before Pokemon, and in Japan, Pokemon came before Digimon.
Really?
Yeah, because
Wait.
here we had the Tamagotchi toys became Digimon for boys. That was like their boy spinoff on that,
Right.
and that was just a little bit before Pokemon actually came over. Pokemon came over, blew up, became really popular, and then they were like, hey, let's make a series out of this.
Wow.
So like that's why there's like this weird argument of like, well, which came first? Technically, if you really want to be specific, Pokemon is first because that's
Right.
where it came out in Japan first.
Right.
But we actually got the Tamagotchi Digimon a little bit before
Wait,
Pokemon.
so like what? Because we got, I think, a year or like a year and a half, 2 years or so after Red and Green, which because those are the first two versions that they got, and then Blue was like a updated version of that.
I see.
We got Red and Blue.
Yeah.
But we got it. I want to say like 96 or 7.
I think it was six. If I'm not mistaken, it was 6.
So when did
that.
we get the Digimon?
I think it was like 95 or like late 95.
Shit.
It was something like that.
I learned something new today.
We'd have to look that up to make absolutely sure.
Somebody in the comments will correct us.
Of
If
course.
stone us for insults.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I know nothing. I'm an idiot.
No. I mean, but but either way, like that always is like an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Here's the other reality. As far as I'm concerned, honestly, Pokemon and Digimon are two very different kind of shows.
They have Mon in the title.
They have Mon in the title. Well, no, okay. When you ground them down, they are both series that are made to promote toys and video games and cards.
About monsters.
Yes, about collecting monsters and raising them and battling them.
Yeah,
yes.
well, see, like, Pokemon's about collecting the monsters. Digimon's about befriending the monsters. So it's like, it's kind of like, I mean, in the game anyway for Pokemon, not the series. But in the game, it's get them all. Gotta catch them all. That's the whole idea. In the show, I mean, Ash really doesn't go around capturing that many Pokemon.
That many Pikachus.
That many Pikachus.
He just has the one
He just has the
Pikachu.
one. Yes, thank you. No, he doesn't go around, like, capturing every single, like, it's not like, oh, those bad guys want to take that God Pokemon. We beat him. Now let's capture the God Pokemon. That's the game.
That's going to be, and well, funnily enough, that's going to be a separate subject that I'm going to do, I think, a little later from now. But But interestingly, even with the games, like they dropped the gotta catch 'em all thing, I think, in Generation 3, because it's like, we're not expecting everybody to catch 700 creatures. Because, funnily enough, the show for Pokemon, I think, influenced the games a lot more. Because, like, for instance, so a lot of people love the gym leaders. In the first Pokemon game, you go to the gym, you talk to them for 2 lines, you beat them, you get a TM, you get a badge, you leave. That's it. In the later games, they made the gym leaders much more into like solidified characters where you like get to know them a little bit more. Sometimes they would like help you like fight against like whatever the evil team is or whatever, which was a thing in the show. They'd get to a new city, you would get to know that character, like, and then Ash would fight them. Sometimes Ash would be in that city for like, 3 or 4 episodes. He would lose sometimes, like he wouldn't just immediately win. He'd lose, have to learn, okay, I have to learn something new and develop and grow. Yes, that's a thing that Ash is capable of doing, everybody.
Emotionally, not physically.
Never. And likewise, too, like the other characters, like often, sometimes they would have the girl character be interested in like one of the other features. Like May was into the Pokemon contests. Serena in Pokemon XY is into doing the sort of Pokemon like YouTube sort of equivalent things. That wasn't a phone call that Ben just got.
No.
Never. But like Ash would be in a town for like 4 episodes, and they make like kind of a little mini arc out of that. Even my guy, I had like 5 episodes. Yeah. My character had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like he and Lyra, and we got something out of that, you know.
That's true.
And but when the video games were happening, they would add more stuff like that, and then it became much more about befriending Pokemon, like getting to know the ones that you wanted to have on your team. And the most recent one with X and Y, they have this thing called Pokémon Ami, where you have like because they have the 3D models.
Oh, that's
now.
that's the thing where you can like kind of like pet the.
You can
Pokemon.
pet them and feed them and stuff. Yeah. So Kingdom Hearts did it first with the Dream Eaters. Let's be honest here. In your game that we're gonna play Kingdom Hearts 2.8 when that comes out.
We're gonna stream that if we can.
Yeah. Well, now we've solidified that. We have to find out how the fuck to stream. So look forward to that. And Ben Diskin going like, oh, that's what my character was talking about. Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the Kingdom Hearts Kirblog. Anyway, but yeah, like. Interestingly, the show, I think, really lent itself to developing like how the games, which is what it all comes back to for Pokemon, developed and changed as well, and grew and got to be better and better and did a lot of things that the first ones didn't.
And it's really similar with Pokemon. The show really influenced the games. It didn't influence crap.
With Digimon?
No, Digimon didn't influence Jack. The games are just terrible.
That's really a shame. You know what? To be fair, I will say this. I think it was at Universal or Disney or something, and they had one of those. Okay, have you ever been to a hotel where they have like a game system like built into the TV, and they have the shitty like bootleg controller or whatever? So there was a PlayStation one of those at a hotel I was staying at, and they had Digimon Rumble Arena for PS1.
Rumble Arena is not bad.
I like that game. I actually really enjoyed that.
To be fair, those are good.
We ran up the bill so hard. My dad was like, "Why are they charging us so much money?" I'm just like, "Oh, I don't know, Dad. How did that happen? Yuck, yuck, yuck." Sorry. But yeah, spoiler. Kerbo Dad. Yes. So I do have good memories of those. That's the only Digimon game I've ever played. I have memories, I probably said this on the other one we did, but of Mike Lucas having Digimon World 1.
Oh, yeah.
And just, I think, like, Koromon following him around and shitting every once in a while.
Yeah, that game sucked so hard. Oh, God.
Bosco would be here to defend it if he were here, probably.
Well, I don't even think Bosco can defend that game. That game was terrible. The second one was all right.
What do you do in those?
In the first one, in Digimon World 1?
Or any of them, really. What was the format of those games?
Well, it was different for all of them. But for Digimon World 1, specifically, it was basically like the Tamagotchis. That was the idea, was like you don't have direct control over the Digimon rather. You just like tell him what to do and hopefully he obeys. It was kind of like Hey You Pikachu, but without the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
And so like that's why he would just walk around and shit everywhere instead of doing what you want him to do. It's like
at least Pikachu didn't shit everywhere. He has the decency to go shit in the woods when he's away from you.
Go shit in the woods, Pikachu!
That game was terrible too, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was excuse me, Morty. It was an interesting experiment. Was Hey You Pikachu?
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. Was also like I'm gonna be doing another one probably after this about the spin-off Pokemon games. But they did get kind of experimental. It seems like Pokemon and Digimon like experimented with a lot of different genres for its video games.
Yeah.
But
like
that's
Digimon
a whole,
World 2, 3, and I believe 4 were all like straight up like RPGs.
Okay, so like you would build a party of them or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I think Monster Rancher was more like that also.
Yes, I think so. I think it was like dungeon crawlery, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm
yeah,
not positive
but you would
on
make the monsters out of putting the CDs in.
I don't remember that.
I think no, that was the whole gimmick of that, because that's like how the show was, where you get like a music CD or another PS1 game or something, you would activate a thing, put the disc in, and that would make the monster.
Oh, that's cool.
And you get like a wolf or an eyeball guy or a hare or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Monster Rancher.
That was a
Monsters
thing.
rule. Monster Rancher. That. Do you remember? Okay, actually, I guess on a little minor side note, do you remember the era where it was Pokemon, Digimon,
Yes.
Monster Rancher were the 3?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, Monster. Everybody wants to make fun of Digimon and go like, man, Digimon didn't get his Pokemon. Remember Monster Rancher? No,
Yeah,
nobody
Monster
does.
Rancher.
And you know what? That show actually had probably the most like straightforward plot of all.
Well,
of it.
yeah, I
Like,
think
it was
so.
a plot.
Yeah.
They had characters and all that stuff, and then it was just like, yeah, okay, it's over, we're done.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, it had an ending.
Yeah, it did.
It was a sad ending.
Oh, that's right. They all come together and form like Moo or whatever.
No, they become the Phoenix.
They become the Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
sorry if spoiled. If any of you didn't wanted to watch, go back and watch Monster.
If you
Rancher,
haven't
for
not seen
fuck's
Monster
sake.
Rancher and you were just spoiled, fuck you. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Jeez. Wow. Spewing some venom today. Also, kind of funny, I realized Pokemon was New York, Digimon was here, and Monster Rancher was Vancouver.
Oh.
Those all the major markets at that
Except
time.
for Texas. Oh, yeah.
Well, Texas, I guess they had Dragon Ball. I think by
That's
that
true.
point they were doing DBZ.
Oh.
I think by that time they were.
Maybe.
So, but I mean, Dragonmon.
Dragonmon.
Dragon Ball Z wasn't about. Now it is, because now they have Dragon Ball Heroes, which is this game in Japan where you collect trading cards and say, I play this random like underling villain from movie 5 as my kid, because it's like that deep of like they have that many fucking collectible
Wow.
characters. Yeah,
Damn.
it's ridiculous. Anyway, that was the future. This is now. This is the present.
You're my present,
the
Kirb.
present future. I'm your Hanukkah present.
Oh, that's-
Ben is Jewish.
I'm a G.
I gave him a Hanukkah present.
Yes.
For presents.
And we celebrated Hanukkah, where we
Hanukkah.
light a bunch of candles on Thanksgiving because my family is very, very devout.
Did you ever get any Pokemon or Digimon things for Christmas or Hanukkah?
No,
No, I didn't get anything for Christmas because I don't fucking celebrate it, Kerb.
Well, there's that, but no, but for like Hanukkah, no. But for Hanukkah sucked. As a kid, I was always like, as a kid, I wanted a Nintendo like more than anything in the world, and so it was always like, oh man, 8 days, 8 presents, holy crap! Turns out like all the presents are like, it's a puzzle, it's a book. So I'd always like open up like the one that was like the one that could be a box, maybe holding a Nintendo, and get disappointed. And my parents got so sick and tired of that shit. They were just like, you know what? Okay, we're gonna get you one gift, and that's it. And that's gonna be your Hanukkah present. And it was a Super Nintendo. And I was like, this is the greatest day of my life.
Yay.
But no, they never got me any Pokemon stuff. I think I got Pokemon. I think I bought it myself, if I'm not mistaken.
Red and blue?
Yeah, red and blue.
Well, you're a little older than me, so I guess you would have probably had your own funds by that point to like buy
Kinda.
stuff.
Well, by that I mean like, Mom, can I please get some money from my bank account that you control?
I didn't have my own like actual money until high school. I never had like an allowance or anything as a kid.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, because I was a spoiled piece of shit. My parents just got me stuff.
You lucky bastard.
Privileged white children.
Yay.
Anyway, okay.
Truly, our lives are
Pokemon
the
versus
hardest.
Digimon.
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon versus Digimon is a pointless argument.
It is.
It's a pointless argument because this is the point I was going to get to 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon and Digimon, despite all of those similarities that we were listing before we got off topic, they feel like two totally different kind of shows to me.
They are.
I feel like part of it is because Digimon does skew a little bit older. I would say maybe like, because like, okay, I would say like Yu-Gi-Oh is maybe like kind of, Yu-Gi-Oh and Digimon are kind of around the same, like a little bit old, like 10-year-old or so.
Yeah, maybe a little tiny. I mean, see, also they censored the crap out of those shows for America.
Sure,
So
but-
I mean, it depends on what you're talking. If you mean the original Japanese, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, where like Bandit Keith has a gun versus where he's just pointing threateningly.
Not even okay,
you know.
but even with that, like that is a kid show in Japan too.
Yes,
like
but
they still are.
That's
you know.
true. Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, yeah.
But Pokemon, like,
Pokemon's a little safer.
Pokemon is a little. I mean, because that's the thing. Pokemon virtually never has to be, especially the way it is now. It never has to be censored.
No. What's like bad in Pokemon?
Yeah, well, I mean, because obviously back in the day, there were the couple episodes that were cut. Like there was the
Porygon
guy.
thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, but the Porygon thing was its own, story.
Seizure.
But
Yeah. The guy with the gun.
the Safari Zone episode, which we never got over here, and stuff like that. There's only like one instance I can even think of in Diamond and Pearl where a character's pose was changed because they thought it looked a little too like
Risque.
Yeah.
Ah.
It looked a little too inappropriate. Okay.
Okay.
I'm doing it, but you can't see it, everybody. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell that story, but either way. But other than that, like the show, I think the only change really are the names, obviously, which are just those are more or less made by Nintendo.
Yeah.
And even in Digimon, it's the same thing. They changed all the names to make them Americanized. But what the hell was
Well,
it?
I mean, it's also it's owned by Nintendo. Nintendo is not going to be like, hey, let's put some controversial stuff in like our majorly successful franchise.
Especially because Pokemon is its own like
It's its own entity,
animal. It's its
yeah.
own animal.
Well, isn't it like there's just like a Pokemon company?
The Pokemon Company
there you go.
International. Yeah, that is the sect of Nintendo that just
Does
oversees everything. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you worked on Pokemon. Can you do me a favor? Can you bother them and say make like a fully fledged like I don't know JRPG of Pokemon for like
Totally.
consoles?
Let me just get right on.
Get
that.
on the phone and do that, Curb. You can
Okay.
do that.
Oh yes. We're doing Pokemon Go. Right. Got it. Thank you. Anyway. Yeah. So, well, okay, you know what? I wanted to say this too. So you were talking about Tri.
Yeah.
So Tri was something that was built specifically for people who grew up with Adventure 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Pokemon Origins was made specifically for people who grew up with Red and Blue, the video games.
To be fair, though, that one can also appeal to kids today.
Sure.
They don't need to be familiar with, like...
Well,
Oh, they do?
Well, no, you're right. It's also funny because in that special, they introduced Mega Evolutions for Charizard, which is a feature that is in the newest game, which was X and Y at the time.
Right.
So, because the final episode of the 4-part Origins OVA was Red and his Charizard versus Mewtwo in the dungeon. And his Charizard evolves into Mega Charizard. So it's like, that's an X and Y thing. That is not a Red and Blue thing.
That's true, yeah.
So if anything, it's like, okay,
modern.
it's still a commercial for the newest game, obviously. And I think that X and Y actually, it might not have been out yet at the time. I can't remember the timeline exactly, but it was promoting a new feature for the newest game as well. But otherwise, yeah, it was, and a lot of direct quotes, like, lifted straight from the game. Our friends, a bunch of our friends were actually in that. Cool. We had Lucian was in it, and Bryce, and Christina, Christine Cabanos was in it, a bunch of other folks. Kyle was in it. Kyle was Professor Oak in that.
Cool.
But yeah, like, I remember when I saw that, when I watched Origins, I was like, okay, this is cool. I enjoyed it. It's not the show.
No.
It doesn't replace the show.
No. It's its own entity.
And I also don't even necessarily feel like it's better than the show just because, it's for the older folks and it's catering to me. It's like, I don't want to be catered to. I don't care about that. Like,
the thing with with Digimon Tri, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack from like Digimon fans.
You've watched it by now.
Yeah, I've watched it.
Okay.
Is that it's not bad. It's not that good either. It's like, it has really nice animation. I mean, the characters, a lot of them have kind of same face.
Yeah, that's been the consistent complaint from everybody, I think.
But like, okay, it's kind of like, here's the feeling I get. Hey, remember all these characters that you liked? Well, here they are, devoid of personality. That's kind of what it is. At least for the first half, like the first couple are just like, I don't really know why I should care about
they
these
could just be
characters.
like setting up stuff for later.
They kind of are, and they do, and it's like, it's okay, but like, to be honest, you don't have to have seen the first series to understand who the characters are, but it actually would help because then you would like those characters. And then you'd watch this and go, oh, okay, I know this is going to get good, but for right now, it's just, they all feel like shells of themselves. I feel like that's supposed to be, I don't know, Kari, but it feels nothing like Kari, and it just doesn't seem right.
That's fair.
Also, I don't know what they were going with this. I'm sure it's going to be explained, but I think they killed the 02 kids.
I heard, yeah. Don't they have like a fight scene in the beginning or something?
No, there's no fight scene. It's just like, it's clearly their silhouettes, like, falling down and like losing their digivices, their 02 digivices.
Oh.
And like TK and Kari have their 02 digivices, so it's like, okay, the 02 happened, I guess, and then they're killed, but none of the characters mention them, not even once. Nobody says like, hey, you seen Davis anywhere? Well, I haven't seen that guy in a while.
Was it who? It was Davis and who else? Was it Davis and Jolene?
Davis, Kari, Davis, Yoli, Cody, and Ken. All four of them.
And they just get defeated?
I guess.
Oh.
It's just, it's inferred that they have, like,
Weird.
something bad happened to them, and then we never hear anything about it. It's like,
Strange.
is that their way of saying fuck 02? I don't know, but it's still kind of canon. But anyway, so you don't need to see that stuff, but it would help, because Tri kind of got a few things wrong, but it's by the end of it, I was like, okay, that wasn't bad. That's pretty good. So I'm looking forward to the second one.
But do you like the original episodes more than just this new continuation of it? Honestly.
Well, do you mean like it depends on what part of 01 you're talking? Like 02, I couldn't stand that series. That made me almost want to quit.
Right.
Digimon entitled. That felt like they were just writing it as they went, and they just had no idea what they were doing.
Tamers is your favorite consistently,
Tamers is
right?
easily my favorite. Yeah, that one had like a clear plot. They knew what they were doing, and like the guy who did it, like I think it was actually the dude who directed Paranoia Agent or something like that. Oh. Yeah, and it's like it gets fucking dark, but it's really good, and you really wind up caring about.
Well, it's funny too because like I mean I was talking before Johto, the dub specifically had really really funny writing.
Yeah.
Black and White is probably my favorite like overall season because of just like they did so many other things that like the first season never even bothered to like think of. I feel like, especially with just the consistency of the ongoing story. The one thing about Black and White that I was a little disappointed about was, remember I was saying that Team Rocket was like a threat in that.
Yeah.
They were building up something about Team Rocket and Team Plasma, which was the bad guy team of that generation, were going to be at war with each other, and Ash and the others were going to get caught up in that. Oh. What happened was, unfortunately, remember when the earthquake and the tidal wave and everything happened in Japan?
Yeah.
So there was an episode that was cut because of what had happened, and they never aired it. So it was the episode where Team Plasma was originally going to debut in. So because that never aired, they ended up retroactively having to change a lot of things. And Team Plasma didn't get introduced until way after the Black and White like league happened. And they did, because like in season 1 they had the Orange Islands, which was like the kind of that was the tie over until Gold and Silver happened. Before X and Y happened, they had a little mini arc where Ash and the Black and White characters were heading back to Pallet Town, and they were joined by this character N, who is from Black and White, and they had Team Plasma finally show up in the series, and they did a whole new thing with them in that, and it was good, but it clearly wasn't what they were originally intending to do.
Right.
So that was a little disappointing that they didn't get to work in the villains like the way that we were hoping to. But even with that aside, what I love the most about Black and White, like with what you were saying with Tamers, where Tamers got like really dark and stuff, what I like the most about Black and White is that it had, I felt, more development over the entire course of those like 3 or 4 seasons than season 1 ever even had.
Yeah.
And I still love season 1 too. I have wonderful memories of all those episodes. I'll still go back once in a while and watch a bunch of them.
They're fun.
Yeah.
They're cute.
But just like not every like Pokemon from only the first 151 is amazing.
Right.
Not every episode of the first season is amazing.
No.
There's shit. I hate the Kangaskhan episodes. To which I think Mac will often just to annoy me, he'll be like, Kangaskhan! And I'm like, die, and I won't feel bad. But and I mean, on the Digimon one, you talked about the TK episode that nearly made you change the channel.
Good Lord.
I love you, Candyman. Yay.
Fuck this. No, but okay, with Tamers, because that's my favorite series, and it doesn't just get dark, it's so grown up, but the characters grow throughout it. You start off and it feels like this is a show for little kids, and it's like, what if Digimon were real? And it's so fascinating. Oh, it's a dream come true. And then shit starts going down, and the characters have to emotionally grow really fast to deal with fucked up shit happening to them, and still manage to pull through it. One of the characters has her partner die a horrible death, and she has to come to terms with this. Or it's inferred that her father is not very nice to her, or doesn't.
Is that Rika?
No. That Rika doesn't have her dad in the picture. Her mom is this fashion model who doesn't have time for her, and so she feels really isolated.
Aww.
So it's you actually start realizing, there's a Rika isn't a bitch. There's actually a reason
she's
why.
the cold one, right?
She's the cold
That's
one.
Right,
and then you start understanding why she's so distant from everybody. It's because that's been her experience with other people, is that they just kind of leave you.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of thing. And then that's why she views Digimon as just nothing but data. And then Renamon, who has behaved just as cold as she does, winds up actually opening her heart and making her realize,
here's something we didn't even talk about. This is an interesting thing. Consistently throughout every Digimon series, the Digimon can speak.
Yes.
We can understand them.
Yes.
In Pokemon, the only cases where we get those most of the time are with the movies.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple episodes where there'll be talking Pokemon in the show as well, but most of the time it's the movies. And most of the time it's their psychic type characters, of course.
Yeah, Lucario.
Yeah. So in cases like that, it's okay, we really get to know those as characters.
Yeah.
Not to say that we don't know ones like, say, Pikachu, Oshawott, Axew, characters that or Piplup, where they the ones that stay out, or Charizard, who because I was naming the ones that are outside of their Pokeballs, usually hanging out with Ash and everybody, who we get to see the most of. Veronica Taylor always points out about how the woman who plays Pikachu, Ikue Otani, she communicates so much in a performance through one word.
Yeah.
And sometimes Veronica will be I can just listen to an episode and understand what Pikachu is talking about or feeling or whatever just through her performance. But it's weird because, and this is not to slam Digimon, but it's Digimon has an out for more in-depth character development in the fact that you can understand the characters, you can speak, you can understand their feelings directly, Takato and Guilmon and Agumon and Tai, etc. And yet, for some reason, the Pokemon creatures seem to be much more recognizable and iconic, and they get around a lot more. There's so many more that people actually remember most of the time.
Sure.
I feel like.
Well, but also they're a lot more universal because of that nature of the fact that it translates to every language on the planet. Pika Pika, everybody can figure out what that is because it's literally just emotions coming through the character. So that really works well no matter where you are in the world.
Well, I remember, it's funny, and I don't think I've ever talked about this to anybody in my life, but there were, I think, even certain words that Pikachu would say through, because I remember Pika P, is Satoshi. So he'd always say that to Ash when he's like calling out to Ash. And I think when Togepi was around, I think PPP was Togepi. And there's probably some other ones like that too, but like there was, and I maybe Pikachu might have really been the only character that actually did that as far as I know. But yeah, I don't know. I mean that's a good point.
So wait a minute, and I'm not being sarcastic.
Sure.
What does
Pikachu?
mean?
I don't. What, did he say that a lot back in the day?
No, my girlfriend was trying to download like ringtones, and one of them was that, and Pika P, it definitely was like Satoshi. So like, what might
Maybe it's Satoshi Aishiteru or something. Like I love you, Ash, or something. Maybe. I don't know. It could be.
Well, now I'm gonna tell her that's what that means.
And then you went. Well, and then she'll hear this and be like, "You're full of shit."
No,
you don't know.
damn it.
You don't know anything.
She
about
won't
it.
be listening like almost 50 minutes in. No way.
Ben's girlfriend has a very adorable Pikachu sticker on her laptop case because she has a Mac. So like around the apple, there's a sticker that makes it look like Pikachu is holding an apple.
She was wearing a Pikachu shirt today.
Oh,
Today's the day we broke up.
You know, I should cut that just in case something bad happens. But you two are so fucking perfect for each other. I'm gonna in good faith hope that doesn't happen.
No,
that's archived forever.
Oh, God.
They're both so, no, we went to go get dinner like a few nights ago, and I was just looking at they weren't even doing anything cute. They were just next to each other, and I'm just like, you guys are so adorable. Fuck you. I mean, I love you. I mean, anyway, love you, Heather. You're the best. Anyway, I was getting somewhere with this.
Oh yeah, somewhere. I interrupted you by asking you about Pikachu.
No, that's okay. Yeah. Oh, well, I was talking about, but I see, and again, that's not to slam Digimon. It's like, oh, the Pokemon are just so infinitely more iconic, but it's like, that is interesting to me that, like, the Digimon characters that we remember, like Guilmon and Renamon and Shoutmon, and Cutemon, etc., like, we could potentially get more attached to them that way because they had more room for personality and characters through their speech.
Well, like, this is one of the things I felt 0-1 and to an extent 0-2 kind of let down, kind of failed on, was like Agumon. Like, if you ask me, like, what's he like? I kind of can't really tell you.
Hey, Ty.
Don't start.
You got any brownies?
Oh, hi.
Our friend, by a little cross promotion, our friend Xander Mobus is actually a few friends of ours. Yeah. Xander Mobus is voicing all of Agumon's evolutionary line in the Death Battle Charizard versus Greymon episode of that Screw Attack is doing, and Todd Habercorn is doing Ty.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is really bizarre.
Okay.
And I could see him actually playing that character in a real thing. So if they can't get Josh Seth back, then well, we'll see. Or he'll have to beat Spizak, I guess, to the punch. We'll see what happens. Anyway. They kind of I mean, I'll say this, the only one that really had any legitimate depth to him was Gatomon, because
she had a real backstory of being abandoned and being like taken in by this awful person
and abused by Myotismon.
You're like, oh shit, okay, that's that's an actual character right there. But everybody else was just kind of like,
Myotismon was cool. I remember liking Blackwork Greymon when I saw him. That was a good Steve Bloom performance. I like Cutemon.
Cutemon's cool.
I don't even know anything about his whole story, but he's just adorable.
Cutemon has a backstory. Shoutmon's got a backstory. Hell, like some of the minor characters in that show have backstories. So like they fixed it for like
people love
seasons.
Leomon.
Everybody loves Leomon.
People love Wormmon. People love any Digimon voiced by Paul St. Peter, basically. And I mean, and you know, likewise, I feel like the reason the reason why people liked, you know, Mewtwo and a lot of the legendary ones. I mean, so many of the Pokemon on my top 10 list were legendaries because I know of them from movies where they had a whole in-depth story. I mean, Mewtwo story. I just got through recording we're recording this like way ahead of time, but I just did my top 6 favorite movies. Yeah. Mewtwo Strikes Back is my favorite Pokemon movie because of...
Well, spoilers. I don't have to listen to your Kirblog.
Oh, no.
Way to lose a view, dick.
One whole view. Oh, it's okay. I got 100 gajillion more of them. I almost got 100,000 subscribers, jerk.
Yeah.
Anyway, gross. And Mewtwo was... I think he was low on my top 10 list, but he's still in there because his story was incredible.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
He's a badass.
And so there's lots of ones... I guess there's ones like that kind of... sparsed in between, like the only ones of like, you know what? Yeah, when I think about it this way, when you have a show that has like 7 gajillion characters in it. Like even look at Star Wars. Like not everybody loves every single individual character and stuff. I don't even really like Boba Fett that much. People love, oh man,
Shut your
Boba
mouth.
Fett is so cool. It's like Boba Fett like barely does anything in the fucking movie. He doesn't have a whole lot of development. Oh, but in the expanded universe, thank you.
Right,
Good.
yeah, okay.
Anyway, no, but you know what I mean? It's like when you have like a jillion characters, it's like, oh sure, I have some fond memories of Boba Fett. I have some fond memories of, I don't know, Lieutenant Surge and the one episode of Pokemon he was in. But he wasn't a fully developed, like fleshed out character. Like there's only a few of them in probably both franchises that like you really, really get that attached to. Like for whatever reason.
Right.
But it's weird, like again, to be objective, Digimon probably has, because I think it skews older, I think it has more like room to be like, okay, we can develop things, we can take our time with things, etc.
Yeah.
And Pokemon is much more simplistic. It's much like there's not as much like depth to it, but everything about it has like really massive staying power.
Yeah, it does because it works and they know what they're doing and they're not gonna like. I mean, look, they could like, I don't know, later on give like Ash some sort of tragic backstory, but like that would be just like everybody would be like, what the fuck is this? This is stupid.
Well,
Where did this
it's
come from?
funny you mentioned that. I remember, I don't know the exact reason, like what the hell happened with this, but I know that in the Johto season, I know that they were planning on introducing Ash's dad as a character. They were going to do that. And there was also, do you remember the GS ball?
Yes.
Yeah, they never did anything with that. They bring it to, there was a Pokeball Smith in one of the Johto cities, and they even went back to that town. We're like, oh, what's going on with that? And they're like, we still haven't been able to open it and figure out what the deal is with it or whatever.
Oh, and they just never opened it?
Well, I believe that, if I'm remembering right, that was supposed to be Celebi, who was like the Mew equivalent character of the Gold and Silver generation, but they just did Pokemon Movie 4, which was all about Celebi.
Oh.
So I think that like maybe they were just like, we'll just do this instead or whatever. But I think that maybe they were like, well, if we do this, it might be a little too much or a little too complicated or a little too convoluted or like maybe too dark or something. I don't know. I don't know what the actual reason was, but I know that they were planning on doing stuff with both the GS Ball concept and Ash's dad. The American producers, when Pokemon the third movie came out, they mentioned on a commentary like, a lot of people ask, where's Ash's dad? And our partners in Japan have told us that, because we're working on season 4 right now, this was at the time, it was like 2001 or whatever, that in season 5, Ash's dad will be a plot point. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then that never happened.
Huh.
So, but
the plot point was going to be Ash's dad is a murderer and he's
my
in
God.
prison.
He was red the whole time.
was
Oh my
red.
God,
Oh
that
my-
was the. Yeah.
how did that happen?
Yeah. There was a time where everybody thought that Giovanni
Was
was
his dad,
Ash's
yeah.
dad. And nope, and that was rubbed out real quickly. That was my age of when I was on the TV Tome forums and I was meeting all the basisists for the Tome characters. All the rumors flying around. Oh my God, Giovanni, dude, Giovanni. And then the Mewtwo Returns special, which was like kind of like a direct-to-video sequel to the first movie, where Ash finally meets Giovanni in person.
And he's not like-
no big. Oh my God, it's my dad or none of
Right.
that. So it's like there you go, everybody.
Yeah.
There you go.
Done.
Congratulations.
Ash has memory loss, though. Remember, he keeps
That's true.
forgetting stuff. So maybe
God
and so
almighty.
does his dad. It's hereditary.
Ash's mom is just like, I'm married. I had a child. I didn't even know. Professor, Mr. Mime, where are you? God almighty, where are we going with this now?
don't even
I don't know. What's your favorite Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon?
Yes.
Oh God. Fuck. Charizard.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like
Okay.
No, that's not true. Mewtwo is my favorite. I can't not be generic. I like Mewtwo.
No, they were both on my top 10.
Okay,
Of
alright,
course.
yay.
And Pikachu. My all-time favorite is Scyther.
I know.
What's your favorite Digimon?
Favorite
Or
Digimon?
some of them.
Guilmon.
Okay.
Guilmon's my favorite. Renamon's badass, so I like her. Also,
And she's hot.
yes, furaffinity.com.
I'm not sorry.
Gross. That's not nice. There's some very nice
No,
pictures.
no. Why don't you tell all the ladies and gentlemen out there who was your first anime crush?
Was it Renamon?
No, it was Lilymon.
Oh, that's right. It was Lilymon.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well, because she actually looks like a girl.
It was cute. Was that Dorothy Fawn?
I have no idea.
I think that was, yeah, well, Dorothy Fawn was every like main girl character in every anime back then. It was that era. My favorite Digimon were Garudamon. I thought he was funny, and I used to think that he was played by Richard Horvitz.
And it's actually a girl. But
Yeah,
go
and
on.
because Melody Spivak has a very masculine, badass voice. And then I liked Were Garurumon because my cousins and I used to play with remember those transforming figures of the Digimon? I had the one of him that was like regular Garurumon transformed into Were Garurumon.
Nice.
And we used to like sing "Turn the Beat Around" with him because we could turn his feet around in the middle out of that. Blackwork Grandmom was cool. I like him. I liked Gatomon. I liked her story.
She's cool.
My Otis mom was pretty cool. I liked that he had a little demon in his penis.
What?
When he became like, what was it? Venom.
Venom Myotis.
No. Was it Mallow?
That was the end of this 0-2.
Right, that's right. No, Venom Myotismon, he evolves, and then like his true
that's
weakness was
right.
that little like thing in his crotch, and I was like, what the fuck is that thing?
That was just them warming up for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes, clearly. Yes, with Zork. He was like,
yeah.
hello, this is my dragon penis. And then I had Devimon, who was a little bitch, and he got moited. Yeah, no, they were all cool. There were some Digimon characters that I liked, and they stood out to me because whether they were funny or iconic or like had cool stories to them and everything, they were neat.
I think it's kind of hard to like keep a character iconic when they disappear. You know?
true.
Because I mean, like Ash and Pikachu, they're still around.
It's
you know,
true.
where's Tai and Agumon? Well, they're finally back, but you know.
Well, the other thing too is every generation, like especially with the starter Pokemon, every time they make like the three, they make them super iconic. Like. And some usually tend to stand out more than others because, like, you know, like Torchic was like, Torchic I think was probably the most iconic of like Generation 3, and like Totodile, everybody loves Totodile from Gold and Silver. Piplup was like the other Pokemon aside from Pikachu that was outside of its Pokeball all the time with Dawn.
Bayleaf.
Chikorita people like. I liked her. I trained a Chikorita one time. There's Oshawott from Black and White, the little otter thing.
I know what you said, but it sounded like I dated a Chikorita.
I dated a Chikorita.
Like,
well,
okay.
Ash's Chikorita was like attached to him all like weirdly.
Oh, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And then it
okay.
became Bayleaf. Yeah, that's right. That's
All
right. Yeah, Oshawott was really cute. I remember everybody was like, Oshawott looks dumb, and then Oshawott became like the most popular Black and White Pokemon of the whole generation.
That's just the way.
Yeah, and then X and Y. I remember actually I auditioned for Froakie. X, I could have been Greninja. I could have been in Smash Brothers.
Oh, Jesus.
Ow, I hit myself. I hurt.
That's what you get.
Yes, that's what I get for not booking Froakie.
Yeah.
But Billy Bob
Dick.
Thompson is great, so what can I do? Like Greninja has become super popular now between the show and the games and Smash Brothers as well, you know. Every generation there's like a new like super iconic one that comes out, like a few really. Where have we gone? Can we agree that both Pokemon and Digimon are cool for different reasons, and we both can like them for different reasons?
Absolutely. I mean, the only difference is that Digimon's cooler. What's up? Oh, what's up?
That's cool. That's
What's
cool.
up?
That's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. And Pokemon is the one that will last forever and be more popular.
Just like Johnny Test. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ha, ha, ha. Choo.
You take that shit back right now.
Just kidding.
Oh my god.
Oh, that is so
Don't
mean.
compare anything to Johnny Test.
You know,
Compare absolutely nothing to
to
Johnny
be
Test.
fair, that is an example of like, well, hey, just because a show goes on and on for a long time doesn't mean necessarily the greatest show
Sure,
in the world.
but you know what?
Just
Well,
saying.
it's often I think about. I'm sure I talked about this in another completely separate career blog before. I don't like Halo.
Okay.
I totally understand why people like Halo.
Sure.
Between the lore, the story's really cool, lots of awesome, probably well-written characters.
Multiplayer.
The multiplayer I hear is
multiplayer.
fun as shit.
The
I
multiplayer.
totally
It's
get
the
that.
multiplayer.
No, I actually know a fair amount of people that like the story of Halo, honestly, like legit, and that's totally cool. I'm not into it, but it
doesn't mean it's bad.
And it's not bad because it's completely, as far as I'm concerned, it's deserving of its popularity. Pokemon, for all the shit that people give to it about this and that or whatever,
It deserves it.
it's
No,
completely, yeah. Like I'm hyped for whatever the next generation will be. I'm gonna be finally playing the copy of Omega Ruby that Martin bought me for Christmas a whole fucking year ago. Pokken Tournament looks badass.
I hope that's a good game.
I think if it's literally just the engine of Tekken with Pokemon characters, how can you fucking go wrong? Tekken's a solid fighting game.
That's true.
I'm awful at it, but I'm sure it'll be still good. I played Tekken like once in my life. I'm awful at Tekken.
That's okay.
Pokemon Go is going to be a huge thing for Nintendo and video games in
That's like the
general.
mobile thing,
That's the
right?
mobile game where you can catch.
In
I
real life.
remember on that same Pokemon third movie commentary I was joking about. They were saying, you know what? Actually, this is a good point to bring in too. The 4Kids producer and director were talking about what is it that you think that people really like the most about Pokemon, that the kids like about Pokemon. And the producer was saying, I think that the reason that they like it so much that they wouldn't be able to put into words is they wish that it were real. They wish that they could be a 10-year-old kid, if they are one already in some cases, go out on this journey, make all these friends, have all these amazing adventures in real life.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's working on that, end quote. And I was like,
what?
Oh, that was like 15 years ago.
Yep.
So here we are, and Pokemon Go may very well be the closest thing to it.
Yes. I mean, little kids, hey, stay in school.
Yes,
don't
please.
Don't try to be
Please do
like
that.
all the little kids listening to your Kirblog, because I'm sure there's tons of, very young children
Yes.
listening to me say fuck a lot.
Sorry. Not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Don't
Fuck,
drop
fuck,
out
fuck,
of
fuck, fuck,
don't
fuck,
drop out of school to pursue your beams of being a Pokemon master. I did it.
You did it. You Englished real
God
good.
Almighty, we're going over an hour.
Wow.
Closing thoughts? Anything else about Pokemon and Digiman?
They're both good. It's okay to like one more than the other, but hey, just because it's the internet doesn't mean you got to be a dick to people who like the other one.
No.
I like Kirb. He likes Pokemon. We're cool.
I like Ben and he likes Digimon.
Yeah,
It's
see,
okay.
we can all get along.
There are things about both that we can enjoy and share in
Yeah.
together.
Together
Someday
forever.
we'll continue to hope for the Pokemon Digimon crossover thing
Oh,
that
God,
will
that'd be awesome. Never happen.
never in a million years.
Well, now
happen.
if Nintendo just buys Digimon,
Well, but it's Bandai Namco, dude.
maybe if they just buy Bandai
No,
Namco.
there's no way. There's no. I'll even say it. I would still actually love to see a Pokemon versus Digimon thing of some kind. I think that would be really cool.
If they put a single Digimon in Smash, that would make my day. Not gonna happen. We're gonna see Geno before that happens.
We're not going to see Geno.
Dude.
Actually, you know what? The day that this is going up will be the day of the
Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, all right, if you actually made it this far,
Actually,
an hour-
just to mention, so
Yeah.
we're recording this on December 10th.
December
So this
10th.
is 5 days before the final Smash Brothers Direct.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I have called it, and I called it about a month ago. Geno's going to be one of the guys they announce.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
All right.
I'm probably going to be wrong.
That's fine. That's fine. I actually genuinely have no idea who's going to be picked for the ballot because I think there's so many characters that Nintendo, for their own reasons, would not pick.
Oh, probably.
But I do think that obviously we're going to explain more about Cloud. I think Wolf will just be DLC, like separate from the ballot.
Oh, yeah.
And as for the ballot, I honestly have no idea.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of the ones that any of us have been guessing, for the most part, will be picked.
Probably not. They want to keep it a surprise anyway.
We'll see what happens.
Yes.
Anyway, that's the end. Ben, thank you
My pleasure.
for joining.
Thanks for letting me come on.
As for you, I mean, people probably know by this point. You want to plug your shit?
Oh, yeah, okay. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Benjamin Diskin. My Facebook page is facebook.com/BenDiskinOfficial. And you should probably like and subscribe to Kirbifer on the YouTubes if you haven't already. He is a good guy.
I'm close to getting 100,000 subscribes.
You should make a special Kirblog about that if you do that.
Well, I was hoping I would do that before the year was over, but we'll see what happens. But either way, we appreciate all of your viewership and the like. In the comments below, explain to us your thoughts on both Pokemon and Digimon, them against each other, them separately. What can you appreciate about the opposite? Tell me in the comments below. Give us your story. I want to know.
Yeah.
Can you show me?
And also, if you wouldn't mind, just write the word "scream." Just write the word "scream." That will actually tell us you made it all the way to the end.
Yes.
Because I'm willing to bet most of you guys just won't fucking do that because this is fucking
You
long.
can include asterisk, scream,
Yes.
asterisk in your comment somewhere to signify. Don't
There
all
you
leave
go.
a bunch of comments saying scream. Jesus Christ, no, don't do that.
Oh, but that's funny.
Anyway, no.
Okay, it's funnier for me if they.
Or,
were in the
no.
comment
If you
section.
instead actually, if you reach the end, say a Digimon name and then I choose you. Follow or alternatively say a Pokemon and then followed by Digivolve too.
There you go.
So
That's
just a reverse crossover bullshit thing. Okay, we've done it.
All right.
That's it. If you have suggestions for future Kirblog topics, Pokemon or otherwise related, leave a comment below on that, or you can hit me up on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. I think I have the rest of the subjects for Pokecember mapped out already, but we'll see what happens. I have to record a bunch more before I go back home to New York on the 19th. So, but yeah, we're already, I think we're already, by the time this one comes out, we'll be halfway through the month already.
Holy cow.
I hope all of you out there who are Jewish of the peoples like Benjamin here are having a nice Hanukkah. I hope all of you are having a lovely holiday season so far. Obviously, Christmas hasn't happened yet, but I've done most of my shopping. Have you?
Yes.
Good.
Happy
Excellent.
holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy Ramadan.
Ramadan?
Yeah.
Yes. Is that a holiday? Is that a winter holiday?
Yeah, I think I have no idea.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Happy whatever. Happy December.
Happy everything.
Happy Poke-December. And I'll catch you all later.
Oh.
And what's your Pokeball of choice?
Master Ball.
I already did that one.
Oh, fine.
I will catch you all later in a Digivice.